Welcome back, and today we're looking at a new offering from Sencut Knives. This is the Sencut Jubil. This one reminds me of the Civivi Clavi. Very similar in overall looks. This one is an O-stop held design. I don't know if this was his as well, but very similar. However, this one's a cheaper option at $37.35. The Clavi is going to run you $59. The Jubil is a very lightweight, minimal footprint EDC knife with a Wharncliffe blade of D2 steel that has a blade stock thickness of 0.09, so nice and thin blade stock, and you have a very bulky tip there. Great for doing fine precision cutting. And you also have a good sharpening tool that should allow you a good bit of sharpening before it starts to widen up in the back right there. No jimping, but I didn't find it needed. And you have a bead blasted finish, something I don't really like, but at this price point, I'm okay with it. You have a full flat grind that comes down all the way to around 17 thousandths, and you have that thin blade stock. This thing should slice like a dream. Let's find out. The knife came really sharp like all the Sencut knives I've gotten this year, and this Wharncliffe blade is really going to excel at doing stuff like this in hand cutting. It passes through the cardboard very nicely, and you can be really precise with the cut you make. Most of the in-hand cutting is going to be, where it's going to shine. It's probably not going to do as well on the flat cutting surface, but we'll try that in just a little bit. But so far, very good. Slicing very fast with this material. Now we're going to test the ergos and how well that edge wants to bite into this piece of birch. And we started off with, some lighter cutting, and I started increasing the pressure. Now this handle's way too thin, way too narrow to, comfortably do heavier cutting. You could do it in a pinch, but you definitely have to squeeze that handle very tight so it doesn't spin in the hand, so it's going to cause hand fatigue rather easily. You could do it like this if you needed to, but definitely not going to be my first choice of doing this type of stuff. Can it be done? Yes, and it did a decent job at it, but not the most comfortable. Now this is where it's really going to shine, doing those drag cuts with that tip, because you have like a scalpel thin tip up there in the front. You're going to want to make sure you don't bury that tip into anything. You can do some cutting on a flat surface as long as you don't hit that tip. Like I don't know if I actually show it, but on this one, I end up burying that tip into the cutting board, and just a very tip of it popped off. I mean, you can't even see it with the naked eye, but you can tell it's blunted. That's why if you're going to want to cut stuff on a flat surface, you're going to it'd be better to do that, to lift it up onto something that you can cut onto. If you do lift it, you can get it done, but because of this, after this portion of the testing, I shut it down, because that's not what I would be doing with this type of knife. This is going to be a utility style blade, doing fine precise cutting and in-hand cutting as well, day-to-day EDC task. Hope y'all enjoyed that cutting. Let's check out the deployment of the knife. This is a front flipper design, keeps it nice and streamlined. You can do the top flip. You can do the front flip. It works pretty darn good because it sits up beyond the scales, and you have some jimping there for some texture and grip. It's got a smooth, snappy action riding on ceramic ball bearings with a ceramic detent ball. It's not drop shut because that blade is so light. Now let's take a look at the handle scale area. You have a Torx T8 for the pivot, and on the body screws and on the clip screws. Excellent job, Sencut. You have some purple Peel Ply G10 here that does give you some grip, and they also offer in other colors. You have some chamfers going all the way around to make it so you don't have any sharp areas and spots you don't want them to be. Now this is a tip up right hand carry only pocket clip, unfortunately, but for those righties, if you wanted to carry this in a shirt pocket, I think it would be pretty discreet It kind of looks like an ink pen right there. Just a bent stainless pocket clip, nothing special there. This also makes a wonderful Gymshark knife because it's so, minimal footprint and lightweight. You hardly know it's even there. Get a weight first in grams. Yeah, 48.5 grams or 1.71 ounces. Excellent. Now let's take a look at the inside. You have heavy skeletonization in there, bringing down that weight on the top and bottom. You have one standoff in the back, so very minimal construction. Let's take a look at the lockup. I'd say it's sitting at around 50% or so. No play up or down, left or right. Very solid lockup. I could flex side to side just because of how thin the blade is. The access to the lock bar is just okay because it does sit pretty flush with the show side scale. They do have a chamfer, or it does go down right here, but you still have that G10. I can still get to it fairly easily, especially with the fat of my thumb. Now for some quick size comparisons, you have the Civivi Clavi and the Civivi McKenna. Excellent size references here. Next up, we have the Boker Kaizen and the CJRB Rio. And lastly, we have the Ontario Rat 2 and the QSP Penguin. All right, nitpicks and complaints. First, I would have loved to see just a plain stone wash because this is D2 and that's going to make it more susceptible to corrosion and it mars up rather quickly. You can see all the wear marks I have on mine already. And the other thing, to open up this lock bar access a little bit and have it tap for our lefties as well. But other than that, if you're looking for a very discreet pocket knife, one easy to carry, good slicer, or something to do some detail work with, I think this is an excellent option, especially at $37.35. I think that's a good price point, and overall, I enjoyed the knife. It's not going to be made for heavier cutting because it has very thin scales, so it's going to be harder to hold on to when you're really pushing down hard into something. But your everyday lightweight, light-duty EDC tasks, I think this thing would be wonderful. So there you go. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I hope everybody's having an absolute amazing day. I will see you on the next one. Peace.